What's up, everybody? Just wanted to get on and just vent a little bit, just talk a little bit about what I feel like is wrong with modern boxing. Boxing's been my favorite sport since I was a kid. You know, Mike Tyson as a kid. Even through my teenage years, that was my favorite fighter. Um, Roy Jones, Oscar De La Hoya, so many fighters growing up that I loved and admired. Even the fighters I didn't like Fernando Vargas, Felix Trinidad, Shane Mosley, guys I was not fans of. Lennox Lewis, I wasn't a fan of. I kind of became a fan now after the fact, but fighters that I hated still, I just respect them so much now. Looking back on that era of boxing, and even going back to the era before me, before my time, where you had guys, the previous generation, the Sugar Ray Leonards, Larry Holmes, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, those guys. Today, I feel like we have great fighters right now. Right now, obviously we had Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Um, I wouldn't really put Klitschko up there, but he was a long reigning champion. We've had really good fighters. Looking at boxing right now, Terrence Crawford, I think he's a great fighter. Lomachenko, Errol Spence, even though I think Errol Spence might be a little bit overrated right now, but still. Anyway, I want to get to my point. When I say Errol Spence is overrated, I just mean like he needs to beat some more better fight. He needs to be a little bit better fighters before I'm sold on him here. Mikey Garcia was smaller coming up, and he did struggle with Kell Brook before he stopped him. He looked great at sometimes early in his career, obviously, but if he fights Terrence Crawford and beats Terrence Crawford, I'm sold on Errol Spence. But that fight needs to get made. Now, anyway, I think he'll beat Sean Porter. Anyway, let me get to my point, though. Talking about what's wrong with modern boxing? Why does it not seem to have that same luster, that same zip, that same pizzazz that it used to? I watch these fights, and a lot of times I find myself just uninterested in a lot of these fights. Even like last night, I watched the Maurice Hooker Jose Ramirez fight. Very good fight. That piqued my interest. But I'm watching a guy like Tevin Farmer with the belt, and I'm like, okay, Tevin Farmer, I respect him, I like him, but I think that's one of the problems is that there's just too many damn belts going around right now. It's ridiculous. It's gotten completely out of hand. It's been going on for a while now, but now it seems like every week you have 2, 3 world title fights every week. That's what it seems like. And you got guys, and there's always been bum mandatories, right? Since, as far back as I can remember in boxing. But you got guys like Tevin Farmer and this Francois guy, two guys with what 18 knockouts and like 75, 80 fights, really, and they're fighting for a title. It's just, I don't know, man. There's just something wrong with modern boxing. I don't mean to pick on Tevin Farmer. He's worked really hard to make himself into a good fighter, and he has a belt, and he's fighting decent fighters. He's staying active. He's doing what he can, but just got too many belts out here, man. Just you know, then the WBC creates what, the franchise belt for Canelo. Really, Canelo ain't that good. Canelo's a very good fighter. Don't get me wrong, but how many questionable decisions has Canelo got in his career? And I know the WBC is always going to support Mexican fighters. We know that. That's been going on since Chavez, really. Well, even before that, but especially with Chavez. The WBC's, well, there's no one organization that's more or less corrupt than the others. They're all corrupt. WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO. There's none that's better than the other. But we got a heavyweight champion knocking people out like crazy in Wilder. So we got that. But Wilder really doesn't seem to pique the interest of the masses. Not like the heavyweights before him. I think people can just see how raw Wilder is, and it just doesn't. Anthony Joshua in the UK was big, but I think we all kind of knew he was a little bit overrated. So seeing him lose to Ruiz, it was surprising, but it wasn't shocking. Just seeing how really easily he folded up, I guess, was a little surprising, but whatever. But what the hell is wrong with boxing? Why is it not as interesting as it used to be? We have good fighters. Is it that they're just not fighting each other enough? Or maybe we're just, you know what? I don't want to blame Floyd Mayweather, but we're not getting, like, we didn't get Pacquiao Mayweather in their prime, right? We didn't get that fight in their prime. We got that fight when they were still very good, but we didn't see that fight in like 2010 to 2012 like we all really wanted it. So that hurt boxing a little bit. That we didn't get that, super fight that we can all hang our hats on and be like, yeah, we saw, these two great fighters go at it in their prime 10 years ago. Or, well, at this point it'd be 7, but I'm saying is that great super fight. That we don't have that Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns fight. We don't have that even Tyson Spinks, even though it was a blowout, but we don't have that big pay-per-view that we can all look back on. There really hasn't been that big pay-per-view extravaganza that's turned out to be great. Then you got like Canelo right now. He's pretty much the face of boxing. And, I give Canelo credit. He does fight everybody, but I don't want to say he's fighting him at the right time. Look, I'm not a big GGG fan, so I don't want people to think I'm hating on Canelo. But the first fight, I scored a draw. The second fight, I thought Canelo won. I thought Lara beat Canelo for what it's worth. I mean, he moves up, he fights, what was that one bum from England? What, Rocky something? I forget his name. But, he moves up and gets that bogus belt. And he really should be fighting Jermall Charlo. I'd love to see that fight. I don't know, it's just, what do you guys think can bring boxing back? Is it, and I blame some of it on pay-per-views because, look, pay-per-views are so expensive now that it's hard for boxing fans to unite and watch fights together. We all end up pirating fights, in our rooms just by ourselves, really. The only time we can ever have is if we get a bunch of people. Because even rich people don't want to pay $80, $90 for a fight. I mean, with the, what is it now? Like, I haven't even looked in a while because I'm just so used to watching it for free. But what is it now? Like $69.99 or something? Then you $10 extra for it in HD. Plus, then you got to pay taxes later on in your bill. Like the last pay-per-view I ordered, man, it was probably like 2012 or 13. But before that, I would have friends over and stuff. We would order pay-per-views, sit around, we watch boxing, talk about it, get excited over it. It just seemed like when it was like $40, $50, it was just much better. Then, you add HD, then they had the $10 HD charge, and it's just like, damn. It's just too expensive to order by yourself now. That's why the numbers are down, the pay-per-view numbers, because nobody wants to order it. A lot of times, even the restaurants don't want to order the fight unless it's a super fight. Whereas before, 10 years ago, you could find it pretty easy if you live near, a moderate-sized city. So I think the price of the pay-per-views, HBO giving up boxing, that shows you right there the health of boxing. HBO said no more boxing. That was devastating for me because, for one, I love Jim Lampley. I think he's the greatest boxing commentator ever. I think you brought Max Kellerman on to replace Larry Merchant, and Max Kellerman is so busy kissing ass of these fighters that you didn't have Larry Merchant. Whether you love Larry Merchant or hate Larry Merchant, there was times where I loved him and hated him. He kept it real. He was his own person. He wasn't afraid to ask these fighters tough questions. Sometimes he was disrespectful, but still, he thought a fighter wasn't doing their thing, wasn't fighting the best available. He would let it be known. Whether it was Roy Jones, whether it was Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson back in the day, when essentially Tyson probably left HBO because of Merchant. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, what you bring on Max Kellerman, and it hurt the broadcast, in my opinion, right? I love Roy Jones as a commentator. A lot of people don't. I'm a Roy Jones fan, so I do. But I don't know. I think too many fighters were signed. They weren't fighting each other enough. It got to the point anyway where it's like every decent fight is on pay per view. So you had maybe 1, 2 HBO cards a year that you look forward to watching for free. And even in a lot of those, it was just a mismatch that was only on HBO because it couldn't get sold on pay per view. Every once in a while, you get a good fight. But even on Showtime now, like Showtime, they try to put fights on, but how many big time fights do you really get to see on Showtime now? It's pretty much, like the fights we got last night with Gervonta Davis beating a mandatory challenger that they know they can't sell, and they put him like in his hometown, and it's, Gamboa, you got a 37-year-old steroid cheat versus a 36-year-old washed up fighter. You get a boring first fight with Jezreel Corrales and Miller, and just fights that like don't captivate. Fights that we watch because we're boxing fans, but fights that casuals don't care about. No, like nobody, like no new person, no kid was tuning into the fights last night, discovering boxing, being captivated by boxing, becoming a boxing fan. Only hardcore boxing fans were watching that fight last night. So, what are some other problems I see right now in the sport? Besides the pay-per-view, besides just the ridiculous number of titles, besides the fact that now I think what hurts it more now too is like ESPN Plus. ESPN can't even have boxing for free no more. You got to pay $5 a month for this ESPN Plus crap. And you can watch it on a stream, but I won't lie, it's almost easier just to pay the $5 a month than go watch it on the stream. You can cancel on and off. So if you see, or you can just keep making up new accounts and getting like a $5 free, a free trial for 7 days. But if it just gets annoying and you just end up kind of paying the $5 a lot just because you're just sick of it. You still need a streaming device though, a smart TV, an Xbox, a PlayStation, something, computer. But I don't want to watch it on my computer when I got a damn 55-inch Sony. So. And then you got the DAZN. Okay, $10 a month. You can still find the streams, decent quality for free. But again, it's like, do I want to sit on my computer and go to these like, sketchy, shady sites? It's almost like they're cheap enough to entice you into buying it as a fan. Like this month on DAZN, there's a lot of fights. So I went ahead and just paid the $10 this month. I didn't want to have to deal with going to these sketchy sites. And even these streaming sites are getting less and less. Like before, it used to be like, I used to go to Sport Lemon, and they had some pretty good stuff. Batman Stream would have some good stuff up. VIP.mobi. And now it is getting harder and harder to find good streams. I know, like Reddit. I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I never have trouble. I always find it. I managed to watch the Pacquiao-Thurman fight for free, and it was really good quality. But I didn't get to fully enjoy it, though, because, again, I'm not watching it on my TV. I'm watching it by myself. I'm watching it knowing it can cut off at any second if something crazy happens. So they've hurt boxing in that regard. They've taken that away from us as fans by making us like, how much does it cost to be a boxing fan? I mean, I'd have to see how much would it be for 1 year if you bought every pay-per-view, paid for ESPN Plus, paid for DAZN. We got $60 for ESPN Plus off the top, $120 for DAZN off the top. I believe they raised their prices too, but I'm like grandfathered in at $10, and you can also cancel and then like take like a vacation and then bill when you want to. But still, let's just say you pay full price for those. Let's say you buy all the pay-per-view. You're probably looking at like what, $500, $1,000 a year to be a boxing fan. No other sport charges that. And that's not to mention if you want to watch, like if you want to pay for like a cable service too. Like the way they got this cable shit set up now is that you almost have to have HBO and Showtime and get it in this like triple play or something play package to get them. So you're paying a lot more there, and it's not even on HBO no more. So you're really just paying for Showtime. And ESPN, you got to get the ESPN Plus, like I said. But then Fox, you want to get on Fox. Fox doesn't have it on. Sometimes they have it on Fox Sports and whatnot, but still. So you got the pay-per-views. You got these new subscribe streaming services. You even got, like Fight News right now. I love Fight News. I've been going there like every day for like 20 years now. But Fight News now, the comment section on there is pretty much broken with all these advertisements. I understand they got bills to pay. You look at other boxing sites, Boxing Talk, good website, but there's nothing interactive for boxing fans. There's no I remember way back when like Yahoo Chat and games was a big deal. I remember being in a boxing room with a bunch of other boxing fans. It was fun. They don't really have that no more. One of these boxing, they don't have like chat rooms. They don't have really nothing for boxing fans to connect anymore. It's just kind of getting, and then we have, and of course in boxing, the tragedies in the sport. 2 people getting killed in a week is not good to look for the sport. So you got that. But there's been deaths in boxing before, and it was still popular. It's an unfortunate part of the sport. It is rare, but it does happen. And I guess it's like a lot of young guys a lot of young up and comers don't really, like good athletes don't really look at boxing anymore as what they want to do. I mean, you can make so much more money if you're a good athlete playing other sports that we really don't get the best athletes in boxing anymore like we did, back in the day. So maybe that has something to do with it too. Just the lack of talent overall. Not necessarily that we don't have great fighters, but just the overall lack of talent right now in the sport. A lot of cast-off athletes from other sports. No offense to any of those guys. It's just you don't got guys that are being born and groomed to be fighters anymore, really, Not as much anyway. So you got that. Then, man, I guess it's just the how hard it is to get people in the ring together. Like right now, the biggest fight in boxing that can be made, in my opinion, is Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. It's the same, 2 different promoters. It just doesn't seem to me like Spence wants that fight right now. His people don't want that fight. They'll fight Sean Porter. They'll try to fight Manny Pacquiao. I don't want to see Spence fight Pacquiao. I know Pacquiao's popular. It would probably do well. But I'd rather see the 2 best fighters fight in their primes. We never get to see the 2 best fighters fight in their primes anymore. Maybe they're waiting for Crawford to get old a couple years and slow down or something. I don't know. Whether you think Spence or Crawford will win the fight, that's besides the point. It's just the fact that why don't these 2 guys fight right now? There's nothing to build upon, Man, what else? What else is hurting boxing? Is it UFC? Is it just that UFC is just more popular now? I mean, I watch UFC sometimes. I don't get into it like I do boxing. If it's on and I can watch it for free, like if I'm signed up on like ESPN Plus or something, and for like a month, and I see they have some fights coming on, I'll put it on as like background noise. But is it just the rise of UFC's popularity that's hurting boxing now? That boxing's not the only combat sport? Maybe that's UFC seems like it's a little bit more universal. Obviously, boxing's everywhere, but you got all these Brazilian guys and different types of combat. Is it just, I don't know. Is it UFC's just took a chunk out of boxing fans, and a lot of fans that maybe would have been boxing fans or UFC fans, to where when I was growing up, at least, there was really no competition for boxing besides wrestling. And there was a lot of wrestling fans. I mean, there was a lot of Stone Cold Steve Austin fans and stuff when I was in school. And a lot of, even when I was like a little kid, like the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, $1 Million Man, all them big names from the past, Macho Man. But wrestling never seemed to really interfere with boxing, Maybe it's because people knew wrestling was fake and boxing was real. And now people know UFC's real and sometimes even more violent. It's quicker, it's quicker. There's more action, even though it's less talented action, but there's more action, it's quicker hitting. I guess part of it's UFC and the popularity. I like to think they could both coexist and both be popular, but I've met some people too that just don't like boxing. They just think boxing's boring, Like they can't sit through like a 12-round fight and be like, they can't like watch like a master boxer like Floyd Mayweather or something and be like, appreciate that performance. They want that instant blood and guts, They want that like quick knockout, you know. And everybody, hey, in boxing you get them too, but then you do get a lot of 12-round fights or longer fights. It's just so I don't know what else is just. What do you guys think? Just I'm not sure how much. I'll cut this video off shortly, but just let me know in the comment section below what you think is really wrong with boxing right now. How come it doesn't seem to be as exciting as it used to? I mean, we got like now. I mean, the Pacquiao Thurman fight was a good, exciting fight. I actually really enjoyed that fight. But we got like Pacquiao, like we got a fighter from like the last generation at 40, be 41 by the next time he fights, competing with an undefeated champion from this generation. So for one, that shows Manny Pacquiao is an all-time great fighter. But does it also show the gap from this generation to the last generation? Or does it just show that Manny Pacquiao is just that great? I mean, clearly Manny Pacquiao is a boxing god, probably a top 10 all-time fighter, top 20 for sure. That's undebatable. But that was a good fight, though. That seems to be like a rarity, though. I mean, the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight wasn't that good. I enjoyed it as a boxing fan, and I'm a Pacquiao fan. Had to fight closer than other people. But I can enjoy a strategic boxing match, but I don't think casuals really can these days. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm going to cut the video off here. I just wanted to make a video talking about boxing and maybe why it's not as exciting as it used to, or why the sport's not growing. Like, it's not, like, will it ever get back to the way it was? Or are those days, is this what we have to look forward to? Boxing fans just, you know, never getting the big fights when they're both in their prime. Never really getting it on the mainstream. You know, never getting it talked about like the other sports. Whereas I feel like there was a time where, like, you know, where Mike Tyson ruled the sports media, where Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, where these guys were huge. And now you just don't really have that, at least in America. Like, who's the most popular American fighter right now? Probably still Floyd Mayweather. And he's technically retired, but let's just count Mayweather out. Who's the most popular American fighter right now? Man, Deontay Wilder? Maybe. A lot of people don't like him though. But I don't know. Maybe Errol Spence getting there, but until he wins the super fight. And Garcia, yeah, like I said, Garcia was smaller, moving up. I like Mikey Garcia. I think Mikey Garcia is a top 10, 15 pound for pound type fighter for sure. But I just don't feel like, I don't know. I thought Spence would win the fight. He did. You know, it was a good performance, but it wasn't amazing or anything. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off right now. Appreciate anybody who still might be watching. Let me know what you guys think is wrong with the sport right now. What can we do to help it? What can be done? Will it ever get back to the glory days, or is this what boxing is now?